Welcome to Tami's Soul Speak, featuring animal intuitive and medium Tami Hendricks, offering insight, spirituality, transformation, and clarity to every soul. Now, here's Tami.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. It's been quite the start to a new year for a lot of us. I hope that your first 5 days have been good and that you are feeling the energy that the new year always brings. I always feel, I don't know about you, leading into the end of the year, it's like everything gears up and we're pushing toward the end. But it's so good to, we as a collective move forward into that new space together, which is what we've done. So good to see everybody. Oh, hey Susie, it's good to see you. Hey Alicia. Oh, happy New Year to you. Hey Barbara, happy New Year. Say New Year to Chloe as well. Hi Julie. Hi Bobby. Oh, it's good to see you. And Patty. Patty, my special heartfelt condolences about Freckles. She has she's touched all of us. Um, hey Tracy. Oh, soul sister, absolutely. Thank you, thank you. Hey Jamie, happy New Year. You know, honestly, I don't know about you, but from Thanksgiving on, it's like there's this great push that starts to happen and it gets revved up, and then we start approaching Christmas, and it's like this collective energy out there is very uh, heightened, and you can feel it. I was in Trader Joe's and I was checking out, and I asked the guy, the everything looks bare. Has it been like ravaged in here? What happened? And he goes, it's like this every day. He says, I just go home and cry in my bathtub. And so it's like, I'm so sorry. um, it was funny, but it was like, oh my gosh, everybody's feeling it. Um, and so I'm just so grateful that you would take the time in your busy day, in your evenings, to be here and to be with us as we kind of explore things together. And I'm so honored that you would do that. There's a lot of places you could be other than here. Hey, Greg, it's good to see you. Hey, Kelly, it's good to see you too. I'm loving my water, Kelly. It's really, really good. Hey, Peter. So good to see you. Everybody, it's wonderful that you're here. You know, it's very interesting how this show actually evolved. So this may be a very interesting show for us, very organic, and who knows where we will head in this hour. So I'll have to tell you, as you know, I like to bike, and a lot of information comes for whatever reason. I think I go into like I'm actually paying attention to biking. So just for the record, um, I'm careful and I'm paying attention to everything, but I must go into some zone. And so right before I went biking, I want to say it was on December 26th, I started thinking about the new year and it coming and what it means, and what kind of things we feel when we get into the new year. And I started hearing the word potential. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, start thinking about potential and what we think potential is. Um, hey, Cheryl. Oh, happy. I like that. That's priceless. Hello, White New Year. That's perfect. I love that. Um, Oh, Susie, I'm so glad you said that. It brings me peace as well to be here. So at any rate, back to my story. So I'm huffing and puffing up the hills here in Asheville, and a lot of hills and mountains, and I start hearing potential. And as I'm going up a hill, I start hearing like the acronym drop in for that, like the P, the O, you know, T, the E, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I get up to the hill, stop my bike, get off, get my phone, get the notes, put it in there, and it's coming fast. And and then I'm wanting to say that one had two of them. Nope, it was the other one anyway. So I started up again, and I started hearing about how we talk about predictions, we think about them, they're they're everywhere. Right before the new year, as you know, you can get any number of predictions, and that's what we're all like, what's going to happen? And And, I talked about in my article, if you had a chance to read it, that you can even get calendars that have days on it that something's going to happen this particular day. Or maybe they put a smiley face on one day and they put a round face on the other. I don't know about you, but when I see a round face on a day that I'm sort of looking for, I'm like, okay, what is going to go down that day? So I was thinking about all this, and then this information kept coming. So, I kept stopping, putting it in my phone, stopping, putting it in my phone. And finally, I got one in, and it may have been the word hidden that dropped in. And then I started up again. It wasn't two petals and treasure dropped in. And I may or may not have said rather loudly in a very southern drawl, "Damn." And so so I stopped again to put it in, and somebody was walking by and they're like, "Ma'am, are you all right? Like, do you need help?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, it's fine, it's fine." So like, really, it's okay. So the way this whole evolvement of this show is very organic and it told me that something wanted to be shared, something wanted to be birthed, just like we were being birthed into the new year. So I always honor that. I always try to interact with the universe in that way, because what I have found in my life is when the universe if you play with the universe, it'll play back, and it gives you all kinds of information right in front of you. And so, you know, I want before I get going too much on things, and by now I'm probably not going to talk about predictions. So darn if that's what you were here for, but we will talk about looking into things and the depth that we can see right in front of us. And so Renee, the producer, has just been through um, quite an experience himself. He lived in a part of the country that got smacked with a snowstorm and all the power is out. And so he was actually out for 10 days and just now got it back on. So I was wondering, Renee, if you would come talk to us just a little bit to share your story, because talk about hidden treasures in an experience. He's lived it. Hey there.
Hi, Tami.
um,
Um,
so tell us what happened, and like how long were you out, and what's the give us the backstory.
yeah, I just moved, or my wife and I just moved to the mountains last year, and so it's a new way of living. And this is Nevada City in California. Some of you may know it. Um, yeah, it's weathery here. I knew that, but I was not aware of the snowstorm that was coming, uh, the significance of it, and yeah, it literally dumped like 2 feet, 3 feet, and the infrastructure here is not at all prepared for that. So there were, I think that PG&E, that is the local electric company here, that said like more than 10,000 trees were downed by the heavy
Oh
snow.
my.
So it was all over. Thousands, tens of thousands of people were out of power for a
Mm,
long time, and yeah, it's quite something to experience that. It's like you there's so much learning too, but to be without electricity, and then at some point also we were out of propane gas. It's, yeah, you look at life in a very different way. You're like, my gosh, you take for granted that you have power, that you can turn on the faucet and have a
mhm,
warm shower,
mhm,
right? Or you
mhm,
flick a switch and there's light,
mhm.
and that was all gone. So we had to be very creative, and thank goodness I installed a generator, and it gave electricity to parts of the home, not everywhere. So I had to reroute a lot of things, and yeah, my in-laws were living with me for a couple of days because their power was also out. So now, so it was a lot of things. And then of course we have a bunch of dogs, as you know, and
Yeah.
we had like 5 or 6 dogs. So it was quite a circus, and yeah, quite a circumstance, but
How
a
did the
lot of
dogs
learning.
react with all the different routine there?
Yeah, very good question. Well, I was surprised how different they all react. I think, like dogs, they all have such different characters, right? They are such different characters. And like one dog that we have was more like a hound dog. He was very scared. He was actually very stressed every time
Yeah.
the power went out. But if the generator kicked in, then we had power for a little while, for a couple hours, and then you have to exchange the propane can, or they freeze up, or there was always something. So we never had power in a few hours at a time. But he was really scared. It somehow, yeah, it kind of freaked him out. He was very
Mm-hmm.
stressed. His eyes
Mm-hmm.
swelled up, and no, we did everything to calm him down. But it is interesting to see how all the different dogs respond differently. One dog got very withdrawn. The other dog wanted to sit on your lap the whole time. So there's all these different energies, these different dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see.
It makes a big difference with animals. They, just like us, are routine oriented, and so they're used to whatever noises and movements. And I know my power was out Monday here in Asheville, and the two dogs I have here were like, we have an elevator and it is not working, right? So like, okay, we're going down the steps, and they're like, yeah, no, not going down. And so it's like, please go down the steps with me. And then once I got him down, it was like, please come back up the steps with me. So they do just like us. I think it takes a little bit of time to acclimate to change.
Yeah.
And sudden change kind of like freezes our brain, and we don't quite know what steps to take. What would you say? I know we talked a little bit earlier, but the creative part of you that kicked in, did people in the area, did they pull together, or were you more isolated in your homes that you couldn't really help one another?
Yeah, it was a mixed situation. Some people were involved in checking in. Other people were a little bit more withdrawn. Also, a lot of people, they just moved out. They just went to family down the
Oh,
mountains. So it
mm-hmm,
was, and that makes sense too. Um, but yeah, it was a very, very interesting experience. And what I learned, what did I learn from it, and it's, well,
mm-hmm,
this is what I said in the beginning. Kind of, it was more like the the gratefulness and gratitude that everything is working, so yeah, I told you this a little while ago, that I was actually packing up all my stuff this morning, all the mixers and the screens and everything to produce this show. I had it all packed up to go to my neighbors because their power went on yesterday, and they said, can I do the show
yeah.
for Tami there? So I was packed up in my car, and then all of a sudden I looked behind me and I saw my outside lights went on. I'm like, oh my, I think the power's back on. So I went back inside, and then it went off again. I'm like,
Oh
oh,
gosh.
it's not. So then I went back to the car, and then my wife called me back in. She said, I think it's back on again. So then back in, and then it stayed on, and I, built everything back up, and it's like it's a roller coaster. But I one of the things that I really learned is also that the animals respond so differently
Yeah,
to this.
yeah.
And I think one of the lessons, and I think for your viewers, it's good to know, to really pay attention to them, to see
Mm-hmm,
how they respond. Some dogs need a lot more attention. They need a lot more love, a lot more
mm-hmm,
care. Some dogs won't really eat anymore, or their appetite is just different.
mm-hmm,
So yeah, it's just very interesting to also play with all their dynamics. So it's not
mm-hmm.
just the humans that are in trouble. It's also the animals.
Right.
And yeah, and
When
I learned a
when
lot from that.
when the power came back on, did things reset themselves with the animals? Did they just kind of like slip back into normal space?
Yeah, it's interesting. That is
Mm-hmm.
actually what happened. I don't know how. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit more, but I think intuitively they know that something was back to quote unquote normal,
Mm-hmm.
because now they're quiet. They're just sleeping upstairs, and they're fine. So I think they just feel, there is a sense that they know, like, oh, thank God, everything is back to normal.
Right.
But how they know it, I don't know. It's
Right.
very interesting.
Well, the energy shifts, I think, when something sudden like the power goes out and it's quiet, and things are different and the vibe is different as you experienced. And the animals sense that vibe, and their bodies react to it differently. And then when that normalcy comes back, it's like something switches in their brain that, like, oh, okay, everything's fine. And it's like nothing happened, right? It's like,
Yes.
wow. I wish we could adjust that quickly. makes a big difference. So I'm really glad you brought up the animal part, because I mean, just in my sanctuary, that's a real treat when there's like snow and I've got so many and we're going out and they're, like, yeah, no, not going in the snow. And I'm like, how are we going to negotiate this piece? Because we've got to go out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely takes a lot. It's funny. I just had this thought drop in. We lose energy through the power, but the energy shifts and heightens actually when the power goes out. If you think about it, our energy shifts and heightens, and the animals, it gets very, very high, and not necessarily in a balanced way. So I think, if you had to say what the hidden treasure of all of this has been, what are the things that were the gifts?
The gifts were um, the realization that we in the Western world in general are very fortunate to have all the things that we have, like running water, like electricity, like all the things that are quote unquote normal for us. They immediately fall away when something like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now, yeah, I'm very grateful again. So in a way, I think it's a very good thing that it happened to me, because it makes you think. It makes you very appreciative, and also you don't take it for granted anymore, because you saw that it happened to so many people. And yeah, there's that gratitude for having a comfortable, warm environment to safe place to live is, yeah, it's amazing.
I think it helps us look into something rather than at, where we're used to flipping on the lights and then the lights go off and we spend days without it. And then, like you said, you flipped it on, you were like, light, like it's like,
Right.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Happy New
So
Year's, like confetti's going up.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think you're going to be processing this for a while, actually,
Hmm.
and I think some other pieces are going to drop in for you, and that's the way it is with any experience. So I really appreciate you sharing that
Yeah.
with us. That was very helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
And one last thing that I meant while you were talking about your dogs, and a thing that I noticed too is like, dogs are always in the present moment,
yes.
right? So if you, because you were just sharing, like when the situations and the energy changes, they go along with that energy change, if you will.
Hmm.
But at the same time, they don't linger about what happened
Yeah.
or what potentially could be. They are always present. They're always here, and in that sense, the dogs are a huge teacher for me very often. So
I'm gonna like spin off a point here that's just came in when you said that. A lot of people, when they rescue animals, when they get an animal that's been abused, what I've noticed, and what I've never done with mine, is never held them in the story of where they've been, because animals do live in the present moment. And while it may take some recovery time for them to move forward and to release old traumas, sometimes people keep repeating, oh, and this poor dog, they could have had him 10 years and they still tell the story of the poor dog that was, whatever happened to it. And the animals get stuck in that kind of paradigm in their head. They see themselves as the poor dog. So it's really helpful to allow to watch as they see what they mean to be in the present moment, how they do that, and to allow them to walk through those places that may be a little bit more difficult for us to let go of. But you're right, they let go of things a lot faster than we do,
hmm,
for that very
yeah,
reason. Yeah. Well, thank you
exactly.
so much. That was helpful.
Absolutely. Okay.
Oh. um wow, the first of the year has been weather-wise for a lot of you all across the country. And so, any rate, I'm so grateful that we're going to have this time to play around. And since we were talking about dogs, Renee, I wonder if you'd put up the gang for me. These are the gang. I call them the joy guides. And so they are currently at my residence, in the sanctuary. They all came different times. They all have very, very different personalities. And I'm wondering, before I go into their shenanigans and whatnot, if you get any feel for them, like from the photos. The first left one with the big ears, that's Lexi. She's part whippet, very fast. And the next one in the middle, that's Minnie. I call her Min Pin sometimes. The one on the right is Trixie. And then the one that's the black and white one with a little pink harness, that's Sprout. And then the one on the lower right, that's Twinkie. Um, so I'm wondering what you pick up, if anything. Absolutely, Susie, don't forget cats. I hear you. Totally. Um, ha! Lori, yep, Minnie is the leader. That is so interesting you say that. Cat, oh, good. Glad you're there. I don't know if they see anything or anything jumps out at you from these photos. Twinkie has a look that says, "Do not mess with me." Oh, you're so right. You have actually seen Twinkie in a photo with Sam, the turkey, following her. He's like, follows her like a little puppy. She's like, fine, you can follow me. Lori, bottom left is shy. Very sensitive. The third one looks cautious. Good catch. Good catch. They are, I'm trying to think how old they are. I'd say Sprout's maybe the youngest, Sprout being the one on the bottom left. Hey, Rain, they feel like they want to remind us that energy does not have to be big in size to shine very bright and vast. They're very vast energy. So true. And Bobby, Twinkie is not a crowd pleaser with her gang. Oh, y'all crack me up. Cat top left, I'm totally innocent. The middle top photo is I'm gorgeous, I know it. The top right, you love me, right? I know you love me. I love you. You love me, right? Even though I dug up the yard. And Cheryl, Trixie looks like a sweetheart, but waiting to trust you. Twinkie looks like she's saying, love me. Sprout, a bit nervous. Yeah, that's so true, Bobby. Laurie, bottom right, can be snippy, but mostly cautious. They're like a little let's see, Lisa G. Sprout adores her pink harness. Yeah, Sprout's like into the look for sure. Sprout's real tiny. She's well, all of them are tiny, tiny. And so they all came at different times. The one on the bottom left, cat that has complete mischievous but adorable look. Yes, yes. Um, so basically, who came first? Let me look a minute. I think Minnie in the middle there at the top came first, and she was actually up for adoption at my vet, and then somebody paraded her through PetSmart with it and adopted me on it. But at any rate, let's see, 2 is scrappy, 4 is unsure, not confident in self, 1 uh, battle my power and yours. Huh. Y'all are pretty accurate, all these actually. And Robin, Lexi, sight, quiet, on alert, caretaker. Twinkie looks very similar to my angel, and yes, I remember seeing Twinkie in the photos. Yeah, so Minnie came, and very, very sweet little girl, and then Twinkie down there on the bottom came next. And Twinkie, this is a good example of what I was talking about with Renee. Twinkie, how do I describe this? Somebody got her from a home. I think she was being bred, and she arrived. This person couldn't keep her. And I said, well, I'll watch her for you. She arrived in a tiny, tiny, and I mean tiny little crate. And this is a crate she lived in. She had a paper uh, plate that she was given to eat on, and she just had, it was really, really bad in there. And so when she came to me, her nerves, her electrical, she was just like wired. I'm not sure she had ever gotten out of that crate. And so she has turned into the most beautiful, funny dog you could ever imagine. She is like a little deputy. And she sort of watches and fusses at all the others, or she'll tell on him too, actually. But yeah, Lexi. Yeah. Lexi can run. Lexi over there on the left, the Whippet mix, plays a lot with Sprout underneath, the little black and white one, and they have a game of running round and round and round, and hide and seek in the house and things like that. Which of course Twinkie on the right is managing by like making sure they're not getting into anything. And so on the very right, that's Trixie, and at the top, and Trixie was I don't know. In High Point, they have furniture market, so I'm not sure if somebody brought her and she got out, but she was ending up running on a golf course for about 3 weeks. And I remember seeing her and walking out to talk to her. And I told her I would help her, but she kept barking at me and running. She'd come close. So in the end, she was finally gotten by a rescue, and I knew she was supposed to come. And so um, Trixie is known as the island hopper, and Trixie looking so innocent, and she is a little shy. Laurie, I think you mentioned that, trust. She is a very sensitive, and you just, but she's wide open. She hops on the island. If you leave the kitchen, she is on that island. And if she finds anything, she'll grab it and she'll bring it back to the rest of them to share, like whatever it is, whether they're ripping up something. And Twinkie down there on the bottom right will actually, she has been known to grab money like a $20 bill and run with it hysterically, thinking it's very funny, and go under the sofa with it so that you try to get her. And she's like, yeah, no. She ripped one in half actually one time. So they all, though, get along beautifully, all very different, all from various backgrounds. I think Lexi there on the left was put out by someone, and out in the cold, and she's really short haired, so she gets super cold super fast. um, but the joy that these animals, these babies exhibit, and the they pull together, and yet they're all individual souls. And so in talking about the predictions versus the potential, if you look at each one of them, um, if I had kept them in their story, they would have never been able to grow into who they really are. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts we can give anybody is to let them be who they are no matter what, and not throw our kind of projections or our expectations on them. And I think I didn't tell you where little Sprout came from. Somebody got her and they thought she was a little too energetic, and they put her up for adoption. And I had a vet friend reach out, and you couldn't be a better fit because they're all friends. Twinkie and Minnie are good friends. Sprout and Lexi are good friends. And then Trixie's friends with all of them. So, it's really, I guess, a blended family, and it's a organic family. So, I would have to ask you, when you think potential, um, what do you think of? Do you think of academics? Do you think of sports? What do we when we hear the word potential, what immediately comes to mind? If you want to share it, I'll read. Um, I'm reading some of your comments about them. Yeah, about energetic. I agree. Um, because what came to me in that bike ride, Renee, if you put up the acronym that came to me, we can take a look at it. Um, because I think it was that one. I'm not sure. It may have been just one where the acronym for potential came. I don't know if you had. There you go. So that if I have it in my article, but that's what dropped in that day. Poised on the energy now, today, in all life. So it's the potential of the moment. It's the potential of um, the inner part, like the animals. What is their potential? When you eh, when you Here, let me ask you this then. When you first look at an animal, what do you see? If you put it down, I'll read it. Potential, very interesting. It's the now. Yes, it is the now. Absolutely. They say the universe is made of energy, weight, you're okay, and matter, but I disagree. It's energy, matter, and potential, and that equals magic. Absolutely. Ah, cat, potential, perspective-oriented trust, empowered naturally through intuition and love. That's great. Potential soul. Um, pure love, Amy. Amy, aren't you the one with Lucky? The cat, the kitten? Pretty sure. Hey Nick, when looking at an animal, I sense energy as clairsentient. So many people look at something, but they don't see into it. And where the real richness is and where the treasure is in looking into it. Tracy, potential, what we can become, blossom. Yes, oh, good. I thought Lucky was yours. I see their eyes and soul love. Beautiful. That's beautiful. You know, what do you see when you first see another person? When you see a person, if you think about it, when you meet a person, what do they normally do? They start asking you what you do, what your name is, who your family is, who you are. What do you see in a person? Uh, see, and what I'm reading is something that would apply to people too, Rain. I see a story when I look at them. I see a mirror and a purpose. I see unconditional love and trust. Um, you in looking in at people, Lick, you sense their energy. I'll tell you a story real quickly. I feel another dimension, Robin. I feel pure love with animals. Um, real quickly, right before, I can't remember when it was about last week. I was in the grocery store looking for something, and I saw a man come like he was the lines were really long, and so he looked like he was opening up a register, and I looked at the person in front of me, and I was like, oh, this is good news. We're going to be able to get through faster. And sure enough, he opened up and I got in that line. I was about third one back and we all had our masks on and there were lines of people lined up. And so I ended up he turned and looked at me and he said, "It's so good to see you." And I smiled when I saw him, but of course I had my mask on. And he said, "It's so good to see you and you're always smiling." And I said just rolling right with it. I said, "Well, it's easy to smile with your eyes. Even if we have masks on, that's you can smile with your eyes." And then the lady over on another aisle turned around and said, "Well, sir, you have smiling eyes." And then the guy at the cash register who was ringing up and had said that to me and said, "Oh, I had never met him before in my life." He started talking about being positive, and then one of the other workers went by and started singing a song because he started singing something about smiling eyes. So I was watching this entire community get created just from the energy that was present. And when I got up to my turn, he said, "Do you have, one of those loyalty cards?" And I said, "No, I don't." And this guy from another aisle or another line came over and he said, "Well, she can use mine." And it was so kind. And I was thinking already about this show, and it's like I constantly have drop-ins or I'm constantly just with the thought of something. And I thought, you know what? That's a hidden treasure right there in the day. We go into the grocery store, we don't expect to have any kind of like tremendous experience, right? We hope it's good, but everybody was kind of a community and smiling when they left. And I was like, wow. However that got created, I'm all for that. It was really beautiful. And I thought about that later. That guy just appeared. He didn't even look like an employee. And that was what was weird. It was almost like this whole energy was created for that moment for the people that were in the line. And so that in itself is potential. That's one of those hidden treasures that I always look for and really really appreciate. And to see that, you actually have to back up and zoom out a little bit in order to see. It's fine to look for detail. Like Renee, if you throw that quote up, I had this come to me the other day. Sometimes they come so fast, I can't get them down fast enough. But if you're looking at a quilt, it's fine to see the stitches in the quilt, but also look for the overall pattern the stitches create. It's fine to see the detail in an animal, their looks, their hair, their breed, their whatever, their behavior, but also look back up and soften your gaze and soften your heart. And that perceptive center that the heart is will allow you to see into deeper and feel deeper, so you get to see the overall pattern. It's an amazing practice to do on a daily basis because we get in our heads, and it's not where you're going to have the sight. The sight comes from your heart, and it just takes practice. um so what do you notice? I'm going to throw this out. What do you notice first in yourself? If you're noticing in animals, do you notice the same thing in yourself? I don't know that a lot of us do, but in all the things I've read, um, from you, I look into people rather than at them. Let me find you again. You just threw off. There you are. I always remember that it's incredible we both chose to be here right now on the journey of awareness. I see the expression of source. That's beautiful. Um, Patty Evans, yes, I would agree. I think that was an earth that yes, an earth angel. Mm-hmm. Um, so, and I didn't mention this. If you want to call in, I think we can do that. So I don't know if Renee, you can throw the number up if anybody wants to call in. But what I would suggest is, every day, which is what I do. So I must be this little kid on a bike with pigtails, riding around, smiling, sometimes sticking my tongue out, most likely, and just being in the moment, feeling the air on my face. And so I go out whenever I go out, I always go out looking for something that's beautiful. I don't look for things that they're not. And so I get shown so many beautiful things, as you do too, because you've shared them with me. Like today, I took the dogs walking at Biltmore, and it was quiet because the people, there's not as many tourists. And I heard an owl, and it was probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This owl kept just hooting over and over. And I was just like, wow, what a beautiful space to be in, to have caught that and to have heard it. And I was so appreciative of it. So every day, make it kind of a discovery zone with the animals, and they'll make it easy for you. Like the little dogs, they're like, too much heaviness here, we got to lighten this place up, and they will do that for us. And what I like to do is really thank them for it. Like, thank you so much for making me smile today, or thank you for so much for doing that made me really laugh. It was so cute. Scarlett the puppy, and I would hold her up, but she's you've seen a few, well, you've probably seen a photo or two of her. She's now with Emmy, sleeping, but she's about a 5-month-old white lab. She is a water guzzling, wood chewing, body slamming labby, and she is so cute because today labs like to carry things in their mouths, so she was carrying sticks and all the whole way, and it would make people smile and it would make people laugh. And so it, they bring us right into that present moment where we can feel and sense and see things. So that energy, that child energy, that discovery energy invites the universe to play with you. It invites those kind of gems that you might have overlooked in yourself, in another person. Um, and so what qualities, if you had to guess, if you had to think about it, what qualities would you say do you need to see potential? And I'll read some of your while you're thinking. Yes, Kim. Find also in her other things that you also find in yourself, not only the pain and fear that mirrors, but also other things that match and other things that mirror. Nick, Biltmore and the Owl. Lori, since meeting my soul, literally, I realized that my heart, love, Mind is more aware of what I love and being reminded of the me I've always been. That's beautiful. Wow. Openness, Tracy, inner peace, qualities to see potential, presence, individual expression, quirkiness. I say I wonder a lot, I think. I catch myself saying I wonder. So, I think wonder is that kind of child's openness that the dogs, the animals, the cats, the owls, the animals have that sense of wonder. And that openness allows for information to come in. Curiosity rather than labeling. Today I was reading something of an exchange going back and forth, and we're so quick to label a situation or label an animal this or that. And I'm like, let the animals show you what they are. Let them do what they do and reveal to you so that we're not rushing in with a direction. Um, Oh, yes. Renee, if you throw the phone number up, I don't know if you did or not. Somebody didn't see it. Susie was asking. Um, Quality to see potential, innocence. Um, my bunnies, I haven't forgotten you, Rob, and I have a suggestion about that too. So I'm glad you popped that up again. Has to do with hay. She asked me a question about bunnies, and I have to answer. My bunnies have brought out my sense of humor. Her bunnies are hysterical. They are quite funny. So be curious, be in a sense of wonder, um, and play. And so if you're noticing anything, like could any of you, like if I gave you a challenge, um, do you think you could do like a 365 challenge days of challenge to find hidden treasure every day? Or do you already do that?
Hi, Timmy. We have Kat on the phone if you want to take a call.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Hey Kat.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound a little tinny, but we'll try to get through this.
Okay. You were talking about what we see in ourselves first, what we notice about ourselves. And I think this is a conversation you and I had, but one of the things that I'd come to recognize first in myself is that I have my own light and my own love, and that I need to let that shine and share that with the rest of the world. And I had written down curiosity and anticipation. So it was funny that you had started talking about curiosity, that to start every day with that anticipation, like a child on Christmas Eve. What wonders, what treasures are going to come today? And when you were doing the thing for potential, I had written down animal. And what I got for animals was absolute natural intuition made available by loving source.
Oh wow, I just got all over body chills on that.
So it sort of fit in with everything about what do we see in ourselves and what do we think? How do we...
Tell us real quickly about Mia, about the story where you just like the snapshot version that you talked to me about.
Yeah, running, and I'd gone into the pet.
I don't know about. I'm having trouble hearing you. I don't know if you guys are having trouble. Keep going. Let's try.
Oh yeah, okay. My signal goes in and out where I'm at.
Okay.
I walked into the pet supermarket, and they're like for acrylic. So 2 sets of 3 cages, and my front cage, and in it was this beautiful, beautiful. It was just huddled in between, sort of in a spot where nobody could reach her. get at her.
Mm.
One of the store associates about her. Apparently, they had just put her out that morning. And I was just mortified. I thought, how could you do that Christmas Eve when it's chaos and so many people? Her name was Mia. And the very first thing that I got was, well, first off, I was going to adopt all 6 cats. I was going to be divorced, but I'd have 6 cats. So I didn't want to leave them there for Christmas. But Mia was just, it was magic. Inundations were all. And then when I went back today to adopt her, and she had been adopted, and it came to me that the name Mia was me in alignment.
Oh, wow.
So the entire thing was a lesson for me, and to bring me into alignment with the animals.
She's a great beauty and a great communicator, and the fact that you noticed her, it was like she allowed you to see her and share in that space with her. And she's wherever she goes, she will have this high, she's almost like, I got a real regal, just a real regal energy from
Yes.
her, a quiet regalness. And I don't know if you guys
Yes.
could hear, she was a beautiful Siamese, just beautiful, and very, very timid in the cage. And Kat felt very drawn to her. And so, what would you say? Would you say that's the hidden treasure in the experience?
Yes, and actually, when I sat down and put it, and I wrote down treasure, from that I got trust, receiving experiences, allowing source, unlimited resources of energy.
Wow.
And again, me in alignment.
So are these acronyms, I don't,
Yeah.
are they just starting to come to you when you're looking at words like me? Like, welcome to my
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Yeah, they just they kept popping up. Okay, especially when I got me in alignment from Mia, and then I got the animals, and then the potential, and then treasure, and I'm like, okay.
This is kind of fun, right? We're doing our little
But
Scrabble here on the show. And you all can do that too. I don't know if any of you have tried doing it, but it will start coming. You start playing with the universe like that with words, and that shows you the depth in the smallest of things. But I love that story, Kat, because I think it was no coincidence that you saw her when you saw her.
no, no, and it was, for me, it was about trust as well.
Mm-hmm.
Her teaching trust and me learning trust. That, when I went back to adopt her, it was trusting that everything would be fine. I'm going to adopt this cat. She needs a home.
Right.
She fortunately found a forever home, but, divorce or not, I was bringing that cat home.
So. You never know what's coming down the pike, Kat. You'll have to keep us posted. Thank you so much for calling in.
Oh yeah, if Ben and any more animals, we'll all be in trouble. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was so funny. I really mean that if you all start playing like that, it's easy for the words to start breaking down and coming in, and it's really funny. It's a fun kind of playful way the universe plays with us.
And Tami, we do have another caller.
Sure.
Susie. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Susie.
Hi.
Oh, it's good
I
to
have
hear your
2
voice.
questions.
Sure.
I know who I am.
Yeah.
Well, I work at the animal shelter. I was wondering if you had any insight on if it's possible for me to become a animal control officer.
Are you being drawn to do that?
Yeah, I've applied for it like 10, 20 years ago and didn't get the job, but
And you're feeling the desire to do that again?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Been talking to a few of the officers.
What interests you about it?
It's calming to work with the animals. I'm someone who likes to help animals when they really need a home and someone to care about them.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm working with one cat named Mason who was found on the streets, and I've been trying to socialize him and trying to get him to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's certain situations like that. I'm just drawn to being that caretaker.
Yeah. I feel like you're very gifted with animals, especially cats. I feel like if you're being guided right now to take an interest in it again and look into it, I definitely would follow it because what I'm just, well, it's a New Year thing. January is like ripe with all kinds of potential. And so, as as we are given the idea, I always say follow it and see where it leads you because, the way intuition works, the way our guidance works is it reveals itself to us step by step by step. It's kind of like Hansel and Gretel, where they put the crumbs and you just have to keep following the crumbs. So yeah, no, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
not a bad direction for you to head.
Oh, I'm just worried because I'm in my 60s and I'm wondering if it's possible for somebody my age, and I
Absolutely.
guess I'm
Absolutely.
just,
Yeah, 100% it is. That's not, that's the thing about the this year especially, I'm feeling this kind of a reboot of um energy coming, like a renewal. So yes, yes, don't discount yourself because you're in your 60s. That's when you're really getting going, actually.
yeah, and I've been working on myself in different ways, mentally and physically. So,
Good.
and I
Good.
really like to go back to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I would certainly
And
follow
any,
the interest.
and do you know anything about this cat Mason? Do you sense anything with him?
So how long have you been working with Mason?
Oh, probably a couple weeks.
And how did he come? Where was he found?
Oh, they found him on the street. He was
Hmm.
wandering around on the street.
Hmm.
So he's probably real cautious because of his situation.
Hmm. He feels to, how old is he, you think?
Oh, he's probably, I'm guessing 5 to not quite 10, somewhere
Okay.
around there. He's an older kitty.
Right. I'm feeling he has a huge heart, like he's a sweetie, and that he's guarded. He is cautious, but with the right person and the patience and the time, that he's never had really. I get the sense that this is like it. Well, it goes back to what you just said about, oh, I'm in my 60s, and is this a time I can do that, right? It's the same thing for him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, my life, and but you're showing him a new life. So I think that's wonderful. I think you're actually helping each other.
Yeah, and one of the other volunteers says I was the first one to actually get close enough to him. So I
I
was
believe it.
really surprised by that.
I believe it, and I would also, I totally believe it. So I would keep going for that and keep working with him and make sure you tell him, all the pluses and all the things you appreciate about him and how handsome he is, and that whatever comes to you that's
Yeah.
natural that you would naturally do, and he's going to really thrive. But I appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. You know, um, I love that we not love, but I think it's interesting that we always think, oh, I can't do this because maybe I'm too old, or I haven't had this kind of experience, or oh, I'm not a writer, I can't, whatever, fill in the blank. The animals are in this, season of rebirth as well. And so if they can start again, then we can start again with them. And I love the story of Mason because he does have trouble trusting right now. Laurie, I agree with you. But gosh, the world has been so crazy in the last couple of years. Trust is a you know has been a challenge for a lot of people and animals too. So they were all in this together. We're all working toward it. But what I would love to see and love to hear is if you do decide to take on the 365 days of finding hidden treasure at least one time a day. I'd love to hear how that works for you, because I know for me today, for that day in the grocery store, it was that man and it was the group of people that were singing. And today it was the owl and it was watching Scarlett carry the stick in her mouth. I mean, there's just so much that you can see. And then I watched a man on a bike come by and he was laughing because of the stick. And he said, that stick's as big as you are. And so it's in, it it spreads, and that's what we want to do. But always look for what's within. um back your zoom lens up a little, zoom out a little bit so you can see that softer sense and the heart. This may seem an odd question. Hey, Rain, do animals experience astrological events like we do, like retrogrades and conjunctions? I mean, we know they experience like the moon changes and things like that. Um, I think the thing to do there, and I don't know that I've actually done it, is during those times that we are having these retrogrades and conjunctions, watch how our animals act during that time, or if they parallel us. I'm inclined to say yes. I don't know that I've followed it as much as I've followed, like, obviously the moon affects animals, people, the whole nine yards. But I love that question. That's really actually, I will start being more aware of that myself. And so if you guys could join in with me on that and let me know what you've observed, that would be great. Um, Bobby, I think so too. 365 days to, that sounds fun. And we have all our gratitude things and our blessings. And so I get all that. And maybe this is another version of that, but I am, you know, I must be a kid or something, because I think back to when my children were little and I did all these parties and Halloween parties, and we had all these treasure hunts, and I had all. It was fun to prepare and have them find things, and discovery was a big deal. And so then when I got into furniture, and the furniture, we had salespeople and whatnot. Those poor furniture people with me on, like, for a sales meeting. My version of a fun sales meeting might be to do something and hide stuff in the furniture on the showroom so that they could all go find it. So it must be a theme in my life with just looking for what's hidden, looking for what's to be revealed to us, and surprises and discovery. And so let the animals help you with that, because they are right there in the moment with you, that can help you see what is right in front of you, see what's hidden in plain sight. um, well, I am about out of time, and I have so enjoyed this time with you today. I appreciate the calls. I appreciate all the comments. What a what a growing group we are, and I'd love to hear as you go along what you discover, and if you do start having you're playing around and you start doing your own acronyms. And I don't know, Renee, if you could throw up the treasure real quick before I go so I could show them what dropped in that day, not only hidden and potential, but treasure. Time reveals energy alignment, so understanding reconnects everything. That came on a hill. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I kept repeating it over and over so I'd remember it. And then Renee, was it another one that, yeah, I think this one had two come in. I'm like, really? You're giving me two of these? No, it was another treasure, I think. Wasn't tapping? Starts to tap. There you go. This came in. Tapping resources, enabling alignment, so understanding reconnects everything. Let me know if you play around with any of these and come up with anything like Kat did. Because once you start, it starts and it plays with you. Um, Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for being here. I think my next show is like February 19th, I believe, and I'm looking forward to that. I enjoy your company and I enjoy the conversation. And as always, the conversation continues. Please see me on the group page and let me know how you're doing. Thank you all. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and evening. And let's keep the conversation going. See you next time.
You've been enjoying Tammy's Soul Speak featuring animal intuitive and medium Tami Hendricks.